everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Believe in Colts podcast.
Welcome to Believe in Colts special live stream edition. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my guy, Jerraud Powers. We're going to talk about the NFL, and we're going to get into the live chat and maybe answer some questions and react to some of the comments. But besides the Colts and Steelers game, what was a game that you saw that kind of opened your eyes a little bit?
Man, the Jets, Bears. And even though it wasn't, like the Bears is one of the better teams in the league or whatnot, everything that's been happening with the Jets at the quarterback position, Mike White, gets in the game and has, six incompletions. I think go 22 for 28, over 300 yards, 3 TDs, and he got a little swag about him. Even Elijah Moore and those guys, are getting the ball and everybody's happy now. So going forward, I just wonder, do you go back to your top draft pick quarterback, once you feel that, he's back in line and doing things the way that you want him? Or are you going to ride this wave with Mike White? Because, every game he's played in so far, he's been successful, or he's shown that he can, lead at that position. So I think you really do have a quarterback controversy in New York, because it seems like the locker room like Mike White. And he, like I said, he got a little flavor about him that makes you like him as a fan as well.
Absolutely. I have been watching Mike White. When he played against the Colts last week, he came in and played really well, or not last year, played really well when he came in. And man, that kind of, I was curious, he's played well the majority of the times he's been in. Why don't the Jets give him an extended look, in games? I don't understand that. But every team goes about things differently. So it is what it is. Let's talk about the Raiders and the Seahawks. Holy crap. Talk about making comebacks. The Raiders now have won 2 in a row and put 40 up on the Seahawks now. After they beat the Broncos, now they go out and they beat the Seahawks. Do you think the Raiders are starting to get their swag that we were hoping that to see at the beginning of the year?
Well, they kind of similar situation, not living up to their expectations, and you look at their roster and it's just like, how? And then all of a sudden, the last few weeks, it seemed like those guys are starting to figure it out. Josh Jacobs running the ball like crazy. Derek Carr and Devontae seem like they got their chemistry back going, and he's getting the ball again. So I think they're a team down this stretch. Is going to be one of those guys, one of those teams that get hot, and you definitely don't want to see them, late in this season.
But basketball is back. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. As your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Make sure you use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. Absolutely. The big battle over in the NFC East, Cowboys beat the Giants. That was an interesting game on Thanksgiving. What was the Thanksgiving game that you liked? There was Buffalo and Lions, where the Lions almost came away with that win. And then the Vikings, there was some controversial stuff going on in that game against the Patriots.
Oh, yeah. But I think the game that I was kind of intrigued most by was that Lions game, that Lions-Bills game, just seeing how the Bills was going to respond off of the week before. And, those guys are starting to find gutty ways to win. And, they're beat up a little bit. Quarterback got a sore arm. And all these other things. And, they're still putting points on the board and, still finding ways to win. So it seems like, they've been going through a tough stretch of games these last weeks, and they're showing that they got championship type mentality within that team because of the tough wins and how they've been winning these games.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, there's three teams that I think in the NFC that got to keep a close eye on. Right now, obviously, it's the Cowboys. You got the Eagles, and in my opinion, that San Francisco team who just blinks the Saints.
Yeah.
I think those are the three big teams right now. Is there another team that you think needs to come into that conversation?
We got to put more respect on the Vikings name, man. We have to. They might not be the prettiest, or we might not believe in Kirk, or whatever the case may be. It might seem a little janky on how they win, but we got to put more respect on their name, man. They're beating top teams. They only got 2 losses. And, playing some damn good football late in the season. And they've been playing good football since week 1.
Absolutely. They're 9-2 right now, right? They have the second best record in the NFC, and yet we don't even put their names with, the best team. And we got to play them. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So
we got a tough stretch of games coming up.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. All the way up until the last game and the last game was a divisional game. So that's going to be tough no matter what. Let's get into the chat now, guys. If you're watching, go ahead and leave a question or comment. We'll see if we can't get to it. If you want to make sure that your question or comment gets gotten to immediately, make sure you use a YouTube super chat or use the donation link in the description of the video. We've already talked a little bit about Matt Ryan, so I'm not gonna. There's a lot of stuff in here about Matt Ryan. Let's talk about Jelani Woods, all right? Because we already discussed Matt Ryan and his throwing and stuff like that. Jelani Woods, was that a breakout game for him on Sunday or Monday night?
No, yeah. So him being able to perform like that, especially in a big time, Monday night atmosphere, prime time game. I mean, it lets you know that, all right, we got a young piece that, got, some potential, that big of a body running, the physicality, the radius of his catch, window, or however you want to put it. I thought he played hella good. I thought he did a great job and, stepping up and just trying to be one of the key players and making plays last night.
Absolutely. Now, Joey B, he's down on the Colts right now, hardcore. He's a Colts fan, but he's down on the Colts right now. He wants the Colts to tank out. He, wants the high draft pick. But there is a question with the way Matt Ryan at times looks. Could we see another quarterback change, or do you think Saturday stays with Matt Ryan?
I think Saturday is going to stay with Matt. I still think Matt gives you your best opportunity to win. I understand people want to tank out, but if that's not what Jim Irsay wants to do right now, because he ultimately will call that shot and nobody will know it, you just have to look at the roster moves that's going on to kind of catch on. But I think Matt just still gives you the best, opportunity to win. And then I know people want to, look at draft picks and everything like that, but I think when you look at this quarterback class that's coming in, even though it's some talented guys now, I mean, you look at Bryce Young and Stroud and, all these guys that seem very talented, I still don't think it's a guy out there that you're just like, he's the one. This is the guy we need to go here. I still, think it's a lot left to be done and a lot more evaluations to be done. It's not like when Andrew Luck, was coming out of college and you just knew this guy was just ready to be the guy. So, I think we still got to work with what we got until the best opportunity presents itself.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, right? Draft, there's no guarantee in the draft, and even if you think there's a guy there and you move up to go get him or something like that, there's no guarantee he's gonna work out. I mean, look what's going on with the Jets right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
There's different quarterbacks fields, right? You're questionable on that situation. He's got a ton of talent, but just because he's got all that talent, where is that team sitting at right now? Sometimes a talented quarterback does not turn a team around all by himself,
Right.
And you hit it right on the head. I mean, there's a lot of evaluating left to go here. None of these quarterbacks in this draft look like a guarantee surefire bet, right? There's not someone that you're going to hang your hat on and go, I have to move up into the top 5 and get this guy. It just doesn't. We haven't really seen that too much in the last, I don't know, 5, 6 years. It seems like the quarterback market. Yes, there's a lot of scrambling athletic quarterbacks that are coming out of college right now, but not a lot of them are being super successful. A lot of those guys seem to be more of a pocket passing quarterbacks that are succeeding. And yet everybody's saying, no, 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 it's your athletic scrambling quarterbacks that the NFL is moving towards to, which they are, but they're not the ones that are being as successful as more of the guys who can really sit back in the pocket and throw. Do you agree with that?
I kind of do. Even let's just say like Trevor Lawrence's draft class a couple years ago. I think those guys are off to a good start. You look at Mac Jones, you look at Tua, you look at Justin Herbert. All those guys. They've proven that they can, stand in the pocket and be that pocket type passer. But they also proven that, hey, we're athletic enough to where if stuff break down, like I'm just as fast as some of these linebackers. Like Trevor Lawrence, his size, yeah, he's going to sit in the pocket because that's what he does best. But if he were to scramble and run, like he's an athletic guy. It's not like your old school Matt Ryan, Eli Manning's, your Aaron Rodgers. It's not your old school style pocket passers. Like the more pocket passers we see in today's game are coming in more so like your Josh Allen. These guys might weigh 220, 230, but when they run, you're like, oh, snap. These big ass dudes can move.
Absolutely. But I mean, they're still pass first oriented quarterbacks that are succeeding, not necessarily the run first or run equal, type quarterbacks is where I'm getting. Yeah, these guys are athletic. Absolutely. Even Joe Burrow, can move around in the pocket, right? Yep. But he still prefers to sit in that pocket and throw the football, right? And that's why I'm looking at how many quarterbacks in the draft right now, the upcoming, are guys that like to sit in the pocket and drop dimes around the field.
Well, most of them come from QB throwing in the pocket type systems, even though they might have some run plays that's designed for them. But I mean, you watch Alabama and Bryce Young. I mean, he sits in the he'll sit in the pocket all day until somebody comes open if that's what he has to do. But if it breaks down, he's fast like a little DB out there that can move. Or if you look at Stroud from Ohio State, like those guys run systems to where they got to sit in the pocket and make some big time throws. I think it's just a bunch of quarterbacks that's been skill training and been brought up since 10, 11, 12 years old that really just understands the value of their legs as well. So I don't know how many quarterbacks out there is more so I'm thinking run first. I just more so think it's development to where those guys got to get used to sitting more in the pocket and going through more than one or two reads. Like in college, the system might be easy for Justin Fields at Ohio State because he has one or two reads that he's reading off of rather than going to the NFL. And now you got to go from 1, 2, 3 to your fourth check down. So I just think it's development, and that's I guess category rather than a lot of guys just, feet first, pass happy. If they don't see that first read, they get out of there. I just still think they got a lot to learn at the position.
Talking about development and learning in this draft class, are you saying that possibly a lot of these guys need to sit a year after they're drafted and learn under an established veteran quarterback before they're given the reins to a team?
Yeah, I think from what I've saw this year, and like I said, I'm no evaluator. I've just watched some big time college football games. Even your best quarterback, who some people think is Bryce Young, some people think is Stroud, whoever these guys got. I'm not saying that they can't play day one, but I think a lot of them will benefit, to going to somewhere to where they can learn and really, gasp and get all the knowledge that they can possibly get to fulfill their potential when it is their time to play. I mean, you look at Tua's first year, we was just this past summer, everybody in the media basically saying that Tua don't got a shot. And then they were talking about his talent. This was before the the injuries and all that, people were like doubting Tua as a starting quarterback. And then all of a sudden you put some weapons around him and he's the hottest quarterback in the NFL right now. So maybe last year was just some growing pains that he had to learn and do for his second year to be successful. But like I said, I'm not saying these guys can't play day one, but I think they all will benefit if they can sit and learn for a year before they, just get thrown to the fire.
Absolutely. I've always been a guy. Yes, I understand that as a Colts fan, historically, the last 20 years, we had Peyton Manning who started day one. We had Andrew Luck that started day one. But that was, I feel like they were already NFL ready, right?
Yeah, especially
in that
aspect.
Sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
No. Didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, like Peyton's situation. I mean, you knew Peyton was NFL ready from his sophomore year of, college, junior year of college, or whatever it is. But even Peyton, his first year through, whatever the record is, I think the record still holds today as the most interceptions, as a rookie quarterback or whatnot. So even he had to go through some growing pains and learn some stuff, but it was needed for his success. And I get that. So that's what I mean by, I'm not saying that, these guys can't come in and play day one and just go through their growing pains. But if they can sit and go through growing pains, I think it'll be more beneficial.
I think it really depends upon the team around them. Do they have the protection and the weapons and stuff to really help a quarterback? Like for instance, Mac Jones walking into New England, he had an offensive line and a running game to really help him out. But when Sam Darnold walked into the Jets, he had nothing. And that could have really shell-shocked, Sam Darnold and ruined the rest of his career. So you got to be careful on how you bring quarterbacks in and realize what they need at that time, right?
No, I definitely agree with that. You definitely got to be careful. Like you said, Sam Darnold going to the Jets, it was a lot put on his plate where he didn't know. Like, he just didn't know what to do, how to do it. And you didn't have any like special weapons around him that helped guide him. When you look at Andrew Luck's situation, I mean, he had a vet team he was coming to. You got Reggie Wayne that was in the prime of his career, and some guys around you. You had to depend on a couple young guys like Vic Ballard, getting drafted out of Mississippi State and coming in and, doing a great job at running back, and T.Y. Hilton coming in and fulfilling that number 2 role immediately. So we was lucky enough in that draft class alone to have some guys to help Andrew immediately. But even Andrew, and I think he might have had one of the best rookie seasons of any quarterback, that normally get drafted. He went through some growing pains, but we were able to go 11-5 and get into the playoffs, with a rookie quarterback.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of fans are seeing the Andrew Luck situation because that's one of the most recent things that the Colts fans have gone through. And they think that, you go through that losing season, go get a quarterback, and then bam, look at that. All of a sudden we're in the playoffs again. And that does not normally happen in the NFL, right?
No, you're right. It's hard to find a quarterback, and when you find one, that's why you treat them like gold.
Absolutely. I don't know. Okay, so with the Colts, there's some stuff in this chat here. I don't know if I want to bring it up. I'm going to bring up one thing, and we're going to talk about that before we end this. Let's talk about the Colts weapons. Mikey Mendez brings in, he puts an opinion out here and says that he thinks that Paris Campbell should be our wide receiver 1 and Doolin 3. Do you think that right now that the Colts are using the wide receivers properly, or do you think that maybe a shuffling around of where guys should happen?
I mean, guys are at their position because of their skill set. I mean, you put Parrish at the X. I mean, he don't fit, in the X position. But when you want to say shuffle around, if you want to talk about targeting or who's priority, that's a different situation. I mean, Paris has been a guy that kind of showed some playmaking ability, so of course you want to see him get more touches. But Pittman has still shown that he's a down the field, big body, big type catcher, can become a big red zone type target as well, to where he deserved his targets as well. But when you look at everybody else, even Mike Strahan, I think I keep pronouncing his last name wrong. That's right. He's more of an X style receiver because of his style. I mean, his skill set and his size. So it's hard for him to kind of crack that rotation like that unless something is wrong with Pittman, because Pittman is the better X than Strahan, at the end of the day. So I get the shuffling guys out, maybe getting more reps for some guys and some key positions, but when it comes to them in a position, they're where they're at because of their skill set. But like you said, if it's a priority situation, when it's like, hey, we need to target this guy more or that guy more, I'm with you. In Paris need to get probably a little bit more targets, just because he's shown more playmaking ability with the ball in his hands.
Absolutely. So I got a question. You got your X receiver on the outside, your opposite receiver on the outside. What's the difference between that? Yeah, the Z. What's the difference between the X and the Z?
The X is normally on the ball. He's not going to go in motion. So where he lines up, that's like he's set. The Z is guys that can move around. Hey, let's motion him. And now when the play snap, you might be at the number 2 receiver, or you might be at the number 3 receiver, just depending on the motion or the play called, or and all those things. But the Z is the guy that can move. X is normally, like Reggie Wayne played the X. We didn't see him go in motion much unless it was certain play situations or certain calls. But normally Reggie was going to line up X position, and you're going to know where he's at. And it's easier for a quarterback to determine the defense, especially when you got. That's why normally back in the day, your best wide receiver played the X position, and the defense always, especially when you got a big dog, let's just say is Randy Moss at the X. The defense is always going to adjust to whatever the game plan is, and people know Randy Moss is going to be the main topic in the game plan. So it's easier for quarterbacks to make checks, audibles, get guys in the right position, because the defense kind of got to tip his hat to that X if he's your best guy at wide receiver. Absolutely.
Awesome. So do you think Paris could play that Z position instead of just the Y?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's been certain personnel calls or certain personnel groups to where he is the Z. But normally, like you say, Paris is that number 3 receiver, and he comes in as the Y, and that guy is normally a guy that can move and do the same thing that the Z. But normally, when your X and your Z is your number 1s on your outside position, it's the bigger style type of receivers, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, T.Y. Hilton, he was a Z, wasn't he?
Yep, T.Y. was a Z, moved around a little bit, but his skills, the reason why he was a Z is because we didn't want T.Y. at the X, and he couldn't move because he was a smaller guy, shorter guy. So if guys were to come up and press him, it can kind of mess up his rhythm a little bit. So you wanted T.Y. to get as many free releases as he possibly can. At least that was my thinking with it when we used to line up against him, and even when I played against him as well.
This was Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And as usual, go Colts.
Do you believe?